Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benjamin. Welcome back to my weekly election forecasts. Only one person tried to match my Super Bowl prediction game, and they had basically the same prediction as myself. I forgot to check right before I recorded this, but I'll shout them out in the top comment. Yeah, that game was. I actually enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't because, most people want a lot of scoring and all that, but I really, really, really enjoyed defensive matches. And I thought the offenses they weren't inept because they were just inept. I think they just could never get into a true rhythm because the defenses were playing so lights out. And I think that's why I am willing to consider this a great defensive game from both teams, rather than a boring game where the offenses couldn't find their stride, and it looks like the defenses played well because of that. No, the defenses played well, causing the offensive ineptitude. Anyway, so I want to talk about a few things. I've updated my model and all that. And I'm using this generic ballot for 2020. I'm using this as kind of both I'm using this as a presidential poll for the time being until we get Trump versus generic Democrat polls, essentially. And the other thing I want to do, I'm tempted to do, is looking at presidential election polling. We look at, by the way, if you're Howard Schultz, you should really be liking that one. But I'm tempted to average all of these out for only the state level ones. I'm not going to do just non-stated general election like these and average them out like that. I might, but I'm also not sure whether or not I should be factoring in Howard Schultz into my polling information, because he does actually have an impact, as you can tell, depending on who the Democrat is. But this actually confirms my suspicions that Trump is a lot more competitive than people have been thinking he was. Now you can say, well, this is just a poorly rated pollster, but they're not that far off, in all honesty. And Emerson College is showing what you would honestly expect. I mean, this is pretty much where 2016 was, and that's versus Gillibrand. Versus Sherrod Brown, Trump is again right at where 2016 was. Harris is a little bit more respectable in Iowa, but that's still not good for the Democrats. Trump even beat Sanders in Iowa. That should tell you something. Biden beats him in an Emerson College poll, but I'm a little skeptical of that. But then again, Biden definitely appeals to the Rust Belt. O'Rourke doesn't do that well. Warren really doesn't. So, yeah. I'm tempted to average out state level polls and include those. If you do want me to do that, I will go ahead and do that, but I just don't want to create too much work for myself. Anyway, so let's actually get into what the model shows, and as we can see, it doesn't look too good. And actually, let me go ahead and pull the forecast up and show you what's going on. So adding in the generic Republican versus generic, the Republican versus Democrat poll drops both parties' polling numbers, and it'll show that the Democrats have about a 7% lead nationally, but there's 20% undecided here, and obviously these numbers don't add up to that. 20% of the electorate, those numbers don't, add up, mostly because they all go to, mostly because they're state level polls that show otherwise, and that's all the Trump approval by state, which I'll be updating as soon as Morning Consult comes out with their state by state ones. That's going to drop Trump. I have increased the economic factor because the economy is doing well. After that whole market correction, uncertainty about the shutdown and all that, it's fine. And not only that, but again, unemployment's still really, really low. Consumer confidence is pretty high. Investor confidence is decently high. Truth be told, I really don't think the economy is going to hurt Trump unless it crashes, and I don't think that's going to happen before 2020. Probably not even before the midterms in 2022. So I'll talk about why this map is different. However, this is what my model is showing, and any state that I've got marked as a tilt is a state that is within 1%. 1% or less. 5% down to 1% is this lean category. Likely, like Nevada, Virginia, these states, is anything between 10% and 5%, and blue is anything over 10%. However, this is what I'm using to color code the model. For my own prediction, this is a confidence level marker. So right now, this is where my confidence is on election day. And by the way, this is if the election were held today, because the model doesn't have a built-in regression towards mean. I'm debating whether or not to include that, but I also think it'll be interesting to see how my model evolves to the changing information. This is my confidence level. By the way, I like how there's a third party factor now. And again, any tilt is a state that I consider a true toss-up. I'm just picking it. That way I don't have true toss-ups. Leans are states where I feel confident enough to say one person, one party or the other has an advantage, but it's not significant. A moderate advantage would be this likely color, this color right here, or this one. And anything in the darkest shades, these two, are anything that I am pretty much 100% confident about. So, looking ahead to the gubernatorial races, again, I really just don't see these states flipping who's in charge of the state legislature. And for the House, I'll talk about that later. Going to the Senate, I really don't expect the states to disagree, to flip who's the president, split the presidential and Senate tickets, though Maine might. And if John James runs in Michigan, he might as well. Speaking of governor, Virginia is going to be in 2021, right? Yeah. Northam is either going to get recalled, and I think Virginia should recall Northam. Of course, I don't think he should have ever been elected, but yeah, it happens. He really does need to either resign or get recalled. And at the very least, if that doesn't happen, Democrats need to primary him. Because what he did is just not a good. It's just not a good look. And I 100% don't buy the "it's not him" in the photos. It's on his freaking yearbook page, and that's a red flag whenever somebody says that's not actually me on my yearbook page, unless it's like their girlfriend or their best friend. And typically they're in the picture too. So he's one of the figures. The question is, which one? That said, I'd also like to know the context. And I don't want to hear it from Northam. I want to hear it from the school or from whoever took the photo or somebody who, was there but didn't like Northam. That way we have multiple angles to look at and see which one's more credible. But I think he's still an idiot for putting it in his yearbook, all things considered. So, anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Bye.